Well, hello, everybody. Do we have a powerful Leo new moon coming up on August the 16th, right after the Sun and Venus meet in the middle of the Venus retrograde, while Venus is still invisible. We have a 23-degree Leo new moon. Before I dive into all of that, though, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I always at least like or thumbs up your comments. I read them all. I love to have some engagement with you. But before we really look into all of this, let's pull a card. And I have not pulled it before. No, that's got to go back in. If it's meant to come out again, it will. I realized some of them were facing the wrong way. Okay, what's the card for this Leo new moon? Ooh, I'm pulling two. Okay. This is kind of not surprising me, to be quite honest, because it's quite a discordant new moon. So I first got the Five of Discs, and this will relate to something that is definitely showing up in the charts, but I actually got this reversed. So this is worry when it's up this way. The 5 is, a number, well, it's 2 plus 3 is a 5. So this is a 5 card. And this is kind of indicating that, there may be some concerns with security, money security, worry about abundance, all that kind of thing. In my Complete Guide to Tarot and Astrology book, the 5 of Pentacles, because this would be the 5 of Pentacles in other discs, reversed, I said that this is actually, though, because it's reversed, is progress, positive change, and overcoming hardship. So that's a good reversed card, right? Now I pulled one other card for you, and I actually got the Hermit, and I got the Hermit reversed. So here's the Hermit. I'm not very up on reversed cards still. Sometimes I kind of know them, sometimes I don't. So let's have a look at the Hermit reversed. This is needing solitude, okay? But this is also saying there may be too much solitude, too much navel gazing, and an antisocial perspective, okay? Not seeing the positive change that's coming, perhaps. And this is a very, very creative new moon. It's wow. So I said I'd dive in. Let's look at the numbers first of all. But again, don't forget to subscribe. This is 23 degrees. 23 is a number that combines the 2 and the 3. And 2 is a number of duality and balance and faith, trust, duty, and service. It's kind of the divine feminine number in many ways. And it also, 2 is about our divine life purpose and soul mission. Number 3, though, is about joy and optimism, self-expression, creativity, expansion, growth, encouragement, and assistance. Okay, so the 23 together is a message really that you are supported and being aided in maintaining your faith and trust in the universe as you work to manifest your highest desires and aspirations. And that really kind of makes sense for in the middle of a Venus retrograde in Leo, having a Leo new moon, because it really, Venus in Leo really is about creating our heart's desire. Okay, so that's a start. Now then, before I talk about the 23 a bit more, this is also a 16th day, which is a 7 in a 7 year. And so this is more sevens. We had a 777 in July, 777 of the year, and we are heading towards, of course, the Lion's Gate towards, no, we'll be after the Lion's Gate in this. So we'll have had the courage to step up. I don't do the Lionsgate thing that much. I'm not against it. It's just not my focus. But, you know, 8/8 is the Lionsgate, and this is 8/8/7, 8 days before this. But anyway, the 7, let's talk about the 7, because it's a 7-day and a 7-year. And that's kind of really Tower card energy. You know, it's the energy of feeling like the rug's being pulled out from under you. And it has really felt this year. However, I do kind of really think that we are starting to move to the create stage. And, you know, and kind of we've been fired up by all the rug pulling out and things like that. But other things about the 23. The 23, I've talked about it loads before, is the most human of numbers. It's the number of pairs of DNA in our body. It's the number of digits we have, 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 ears and a nose. It's the number of seconds it takes for the heart to pump the blood around your body, and Leo is the heart. And 23 is also the number of days in the biorhythm cycle, and it's the number of chaos magic and the number of discordant Eris. Eris, the shit stirrer, Eris, the goddess of discord and chaos, who, you know, I don't see her as always hateful. I see her as just really kind of shaking tables and showing us what's unfair, all right? She didn't start the war herself. She didn't start the Trojan War when she threw the apple into the wedding of the elites. She just kind of showed them who they were, and they fought amongst themselves. But anyway, not everybody agrees with me. A lot of people think that Eris is hate. I don't. Anyway, let's move on to the astrology chart. Okay, so you can see that this is 23 degrees Leo, the new moon, 17 minutes. It's conjunct asteroid Urania. Talk more about that in a minute. It's conjunct Black Moon Lilith. Venus and Black Moon Lilith have been in a dance for pretty much the whole of Venus retrograde, really, because Black Moon Lilith was conjunct Venus when she stationed retrograde. It's conjunct Venus as well, but by the time of this new moon, the new Venus star point will have happened on August the 13th at 20 degrees of Leo. So the moon has moved forward, the sun has moved forward 3 degrees and Venus has moved back 2 degrees. They're now 5 degrees apart almost. And, or more actually. But anyway, this is now Venus is going to emerge as the morning star. But this is only 3 days after the Venus star point. So she is not visible yet. Venus is still in her underworld journey. So we've got this massive, massive stellium in Leo, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But then we can see, look at this grand trine. In a trine from Leo, fire sign Leo to fireside Aries, fire sign, we have the North Node, Eris and Chiron all in a stellium together, all in an aspect to the Leo stellium. So that's fire, fire, fire. Then we have down here, we have the galactic center with Circe, the sorceress, right next to the galactic center. She's been hovering around the galactic center for almost all of the Venus retrograde too. So we have a very powerful fire grand trine. And the south, you could say it's a kite to the south node, actually, and almost to Ceres. Ceres is almost coming in there, who I consider to be Venus mother in the archetypal realms. And she's at 18 degrees, and so is Venus. So we have fire and air burning off, phoenix energy. And I'll talk more about all of that in a minute. But we also have an almost exact square to Uranus. And Uranus is the change maker. Uranus is the one that kind of brings aha moments, sudden insights, sudden invention, sudden and rapid change. Uranus can feel like a slap around the head with a 4x4. And we've also got a sextile to Vesta. And I'll talk more about all of that in a minute. Venus is still in an opposition with Eros, asteroid Eros, who is kind of earthly passion, Cupid, what lights you up. So this is a very explosive, but could be in a good way, explosive new moon. And again, I'll talk more about that in a minute. But Uranus, this square to Uranus, Uranus stations retrograde on August the 28th, just 12 days after this. So Uranus is really slowing down. So whilst, you know, Uranus is not within 5 days of the retrograde station, so it's not, he's not at his most powerful, but he is slowing down. So Uranus will station retrograde at 23 Taurus 04. So it's only 4 minutes away from the retrograde station point. So I'll talk about all of this. Let me just stop the share and start to talk. Okay, so I'm going to kind of break yes, I'm going to break down some of these energies and talk about them individually. So let's start with the fire, and let's start with Leo. We've got hefty Leo energy here. As on this new moon, by the time of the new moon, Juno, the sacred contracts, sacred union with each other will have moved into the sign of Leo. So on this new moon, we'll have asteroid Juno, Hecate, who is really the way shower and the companion that was helping Ceres find Persephone or Venus. Then we have Venus still retrograde. Venus is retrograde until September the 3rd. Then we have the sun and moon at 23 degrees. I've talked about what the 23 means. Then we have asteroid Urania at 24 degrees and black moon Lilith at 24 degrees. So that's a massive Leo stellium, and it's almost all divine feminine, for want of a better word, archetypes. The sun is the core of our solar system, usually described as a he, but really the sun is everything because the sun is the core. So that's, and the sun is in its own sign. Then we have the moon, which is our emotions and our emotional responses, and the moon is the mother archetype, and so we've got those two together. Then we've got Venus retrograde. You know, Venus represents so much, but she's love, she's relationship, she's core values, she's also our social etiquette and our tastes, and so on and so forth. And we've been reviewing all of this since July the 22nd, when Venus stationed retrograde. Then we've got Hecate. Hecate is the goddess of the crossroads. She's the keeper of the keys of the heaven, hell, and the middle world, of all the shamanic realms. She is the psychopomp who moves between worlds. She can accompany people into death and into their shadow and into the underworld. She's also the lady of the lamp, or the torch, who holds the torch up and shows the way at the crossroads. Powerful, powerful goddess. Then we have Juno, who was Jupiter's wife or Zeus's wife, but she really represents sacred union. I always kind of think of her as the flower of Venus. She is kind of the healthy union of all opposites. And then we have Black Moon Lilith, who often represents kind of that wild elemental feminine, but often where we've been shamed or cast out, or been put down or attempted to be put down. Black Moon Lilith is a little bit angry. She did not want to be equal, and she was portrayed as a demon, a baby eating demon, after she was thrown out of Eden, or she left in a temple, whichever you believe. But I believe Black Moon Lilith was never a real demon. She was just a hurt person. But then we have Urania as well. And Urania is quite an interesting journey with the Venus retrograde. But Urania governs astrology, astronomy, and cosmology. So Urania is about the celebration of imagination and celestial knowledge. Urania can lift our minds and spirits to heavenly, heavenly heights. So if we put all that together in Leo, without even looking at the other energies yet, which we will do, this lineup of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, oh, there's that 7 again, 7 powerful energies in the sign of Leo, with the sun in the sign of Leo, its own sign. This is Leo energy supreme. The lion, courage, the heart, really creative and joyful, finding your joy, finding your bliss, seeing with the eye of the heart as well. This is so, so powerful. All right. So we've just got that on its own. But then we've got the trine to the North Node in Aries, Eris and Chiron, all in Aries. Now, we're heading towards eclipse season, so the nodes are moving pretty quickly. I use the true nodes. At this point, they have Pluto has squared the nodes 3 times, and now the nodes and Pluto are separating, and the North Node is moving towards Eris. But Eris is retrograde, and so moving slightly away. And Chiron is also retrograde. All of the energies are moving retrograde because the nodes, naturally, their primary motion is retrograde. In Aries, we are reflecting on our I am energy. We are acting on our strengths, our pioneering spirit, and our part in being the change we want to see in the world. And how do we want to shake those tables and stir things up like Eris does, but not just for the sake of it? Where do we want to do that to be most effective? All right. And Chiron, the shaman, the key to healing, he's there retrograde in Aries as well. Kind of retrograde, really kind of tuning into how can I be the part that I want, the healing part in this life, in my own life, and in the world collectively. Then we have Circe. Circe the sorceress. Read Madeline Miller's book if you want to know all about Circe. She was another strong woman who was cast out. She was Apollo's daughter, the sun. So here we have that message tying in again. She was a medicine woman. But to my mind, she was more than that. Circe was said, she was banished to an island because she kept using her pharmaca magical strengths. In some ways, Hecate and Circe are very alike. But Circe was banished to an island, and Odysseus's men landed on the island, and she turned them into pigs because they were behaving like pigs. It's my actual opinion that she gave them a drink that was kind of psychedelic in nature, so they believed that they were pigs. Anyway, Odysseus, it wore off, and she and Odysseus became lovers for a year. He stayed for, I think, a year on the island. It's all in the Odyssey. But she was a powerful woman as well, and very much one unto herself. But she was definitely magic. She was very creative, and her magic was very, very powerful. So we've got Hecate, who's magic, Circe, who's magic, all involved in all of this. And Circe is almost exactly conjunct the galactic center, the center of our galaxy, which has now been found to be emitting strands of of gas. The galactic center is said to emit new knowledge into our galaxy and therefore into our minds. And it's in Sagittarius, so this is new truths, new higher knowledge, new philosophies. And we've got this big Fire Grand Trine. And then I am going to talk a little bit about this making a kite. We have the South Node in Libra, conjunct Hecate, and that's asking us to be less debilitatingly nice, to not be keeping peace for the sake of keeping peace, for not being codependent, for not relying on others to do everything for us, and also for finding the balance of justice. And then we have Ceres at the same degree as Venus, close to that South Node. Ceres, the Great Mother in Libra, saying we are going to restore balance. Okay, so all that fire and air is very burning off of everything, and then, but it's also very creative. If you think what fire and air does together, the wind, the gusts of air, of wind, and of words, of ideas, kind of are inspired, and then the flames catch fire, and it's really creative. But then it both burns off and restores. Okay, so this is like a phoenix. It's such a powerful new moon. I cannot believe the amount of fire, to be quite honest. And I did also mention Cupid is still opposing Venus, and Eros. Eros is Venus's son, Aphrodite's son, and those two have been opposing each other for the whole of the Venus retrograde. And he is going, what lights you up? And that's in Aquarius, and that's in the sign of the people and humanitarianism. So, it may not seem like the world is turning out that way when you just look at the news, but if you look beneath the news and look for other things that are happening, good things are being created, and people are beginning to really stand up and saying, I have to play my part. If it is to be, it is up to me, all that kind of thing. But then we've got Uranus in Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus for quite a long time. Uranus is at that 23-degree mark as well, the very most human mark of human degree. Uranus is in Venus's home, the sign of Taurus, the most earthly of earth signs. This could bring some real shocks and some real earthquakes around our values. We could be quite shocked on this new moon, but then we've been given the opportunity to really create something from it. But it does have this kind of shocking kind of energy. Now, who wrote Cosmos and Psyche? Oh my words, I do this every time. His name was in my my mind, and then suddenly I come to say his name and it's gone. But there it is, Richard Tarnas. Richard Tarnas thought that Uranus should be called Prometheus, and Prometheus was the one that brought fire down to humans. Okay, and here we have this great Fire Grand Trine, and the fiery Leo in square to Prometheus in Taurus, and the galactic center being activated. This new moon feels like a Promethean moment, a moment of new discoveries and a moment of new information, new ideas, and new invention, and all that kind of thing. So innovation is going to come from this new moon. It's just so powerful. There is also a sextile to Vesta, and Vesta is our sacred inner flame. And Vesta is in another air sign, and that is the sign of Gemini. So we have fire and air, fire and air, fire and air, except for Taurus in Uranus in Taurus, the earth sign. So it kind of feels like the gods or the center of our galaxy is just sending down this new information and is going to have us creating something wonderful. And this is, individually and collectively. it's just, it's sorcery, it's alchemy, it's magic, it's chaos, but it's kind of awe-inspiring. But I do think there might be a few shocks along the way. And I don't really have a lot else to say about this chart, except that Neptune is still in a square to that galactic center as well. So that's bringing in energy from the collective and the source, and also us tuning into the needs of the collective. There's a lot of hope in this new moon. It's kind of big. And just a few days after this, well, I'll be doing the full moon podcast for the full moon after this, but then Venus will be stationing direct. But just a couple of days after this, so this is 3 days after Venus conjunction and the new star point at 20 Leo, just about 2 or 3, maybe it depends where you are, depends on your elevation, depends what view of the eastern horizon you have, but Venus is going to emerge as morning star in the east right after this new moon. So Venus is emerging on a new moon as well. It's just astounding, this energy. So before I read the symbols, I would like to just ask you again to subscribe and leave me a thumbs up. So the Sabian symbol for this, we always go up, so we go to Leo 24, is an untidy, unkempt human. And James Burgess, I'm liking his interpretations. So he says, this is about holding focus. We cannot expect to excel to mastery of any kind unless we bring total concentration to the matter in hand. He says it's about giving attention only to what matters. We cannot focus attention on 2 things at the same time. Easy for him to say. I'm mutable, I can. But anyway, no, I guess I get what he's saying. A highly motivated seeker will not attend to worldly matters with the same ambition as others, choosing to concentrate fully on what they consider more important, the inner reality of spiritual practice. How they appear to others is of small concern. And I like that, okay, because Rudyard said this is total concentration on inner spiritual attainment. And I've been talking about this in my Venus retrograde class. This is about learning to see with the eye of the heart and learning the way of love, which is real inner spiritual attainment, and not worrying about the outer kind of things. Fire is all about inspiration and passion and source and seeking and all those kind of things, and really doesn't really care about appearances. And we got the Libra South Node saying, stop worrying about making everything look nice. That's not the most important thing. Now then, let's look at this the Chandra symbol for this too. This one is an interesting one and a wonderful one. I really love this new moon, to be honest. Leo 24 is sunrise over Stonehenge. Now, could that indicate more of a new beginning? It's like more of a creative new beginning and a new dawn and a new age. To go back to the fact Venus is retrograde, before I read this symbol, Daniel Gimario of Shamanic Astrology Mystery School said that the birth of the Leo Venus star in 1987 was the birthing of the age of Aquarius. Well, now we get the sunrise over Stonehenge, and Leo and Aquarius are the polarity signs, and it's about integrating all of that. But anyway, okay, so Leo 24. Sunrise over Stonehenge, immortal stature, undiminished interior presence, a throwback to heroic times and places, character elevated, the universal code upheld. You are stalwart, uncompromising, and even rabid. Vertical understanding and allegiance, exquisite sensibility, nobility, and the core of human nature embodied. You have a subtle undertone of magic and miracle, yet you're often overtly quiet, simple, and straight. All goes into the spirit, poignant and evocative and moving. Now that is from Elias Lonsdale's interpretation. John Sandbach actually channeled the Chandra symbols, and he said, you project an aura of importance that is quiet and certain, a deep self-assurance that comes from being in tune with the whole of life. You are what you are in a simple way, though many, varied and complex, and the roads you may travel. You are attuned to what endures, and as you become increasingly at one with this, you contact your true self at deeper and deeper levels. This is an amazing time. I knew this Venus retrograde was going to be powerful. I have so many people in the class, and it's too late to join now, but just this period is a time of huge spiritual fire is often associated with spiritual innovation too. I think we are being invited to set a spiritual step up in a huge, huge way. But will you will you answer the charge? It takes courage, it takes strength, it's quite overwhelming, but be inspired and just step into seeing with the eye of the heart. Much love until next time.